Night arrives without urgency. It does not announce itself. It does not interrupt. It simply begins to take the place of what no longer needs to be held. Light loosens its grip. Not suddenly, not completely. It fades in small, almost unnoticeable steps. Edges soften. Colors lose their intensity. The sharpness of the day dissolves. There is no exact moment when day ends and night begins. No signal, no dividing line. Only a gradual transition, like the body releasing tension before the mind realizes it has done so. As the sun sinks beyond sight, nature does not grow quiet. It changes its voice. The warmth stored in the ground begins to move away. Stone cools, soil relaxes. Surfaces that held heat all day begin to let it go. Plants respond instinctively. They stop reaching outward. They turn inward. Growth pauses. Rest begins. The air feels different now. Not colder, just slower. It moves with less intention, less desire to arrive anywhere. It surrounds rather than presses. If there is wind, it behaves differently. It does not push forward. It glides. It slips through branches and brushes past leaves with no clear direction. The sound it creates is soft, irregular, unplanned. A sound that does not demand attention. Listen. Night reveals itself in layers. One sound appears, then another. Not all at once, not in coordination. An insect calls and then stops. Another answers somewhere farther away. Between these sounds there is space, wide space. Space that feels open rather than empty. This is not silence. It is allowance. Far beyond immediate awareness, the human world continues, but it is distant now. A faint hum, a softened echo. Movement exists, but it no longer dominates. The night absorbs urgency and leaves calm behind. As darkness deepens, life adjusts. Daytime activity withdraws. Movements become fewer. Energy is gathered inward instead of spent outward. Nothing competes. Nothing rushes. For the human body, this rhythm is deeply familiar, older than memory, older than language. It is recognized without conscious thought. Breathing responds first. The inhale becomes gentler. The exhale lengthens, not forced, not intentional. The body releases because it knows it is time. Muscles soften. The shoulders drop slightly. The jaw loosens. The face relaxes. Tension leaves quietly, without ceremony. The nervous system follows. Alertness fades. Vigilance dissolves. The body turns away from readiness and toward restoration. Thoughts begin to change as well. They slow. They lose their sharp edges. Ideas that felt heavy during the day become lighter here. Concerns stretch out, less defined, less demanding. Night does not ask to be solved. It invites settling. Attention turns inward. Vision becomes secondary. Sound takes on more importance. Sensation becomes clearer. The gentle pressure of the surface beneath the body, the steady rhythm of breath entering and leaving, the quiet pulse moving through familiar pathways. These are the signals the body trusts most when darkness arrives. In the natural world, water continues moving. A stream flows over stone, unchanged by the absence of light. Waves approach the shore, pause, and withdraw. These rhythms do not stop at night. They become easier to notice. Above, the sky opens slowly. Stars appear one by one. They do not rush to be seen. They wait. Clouds drift without destination. The moon, when present, offers light that soothes rather than reveals. Darkness remains intact. It is not erased. It is honored. Nothing here pushes forward. Nothing insists. This is why night has always been associated with rest and healing. Across cultures, across centuries, when darkness falls, voices lower, movement slow, attention narrows to what is close, what is safe. Before artificial light, night demanded stillness, and in return, it offered rest. Even now, surrounded by constant illumination, the body remembers. It responds to the absence of sunlight, as it always has. Here, there is nothing to do, nothing to achieve, no role to perform. You are allowed to stop. Let the night hold what you no longer need to carry. Let sounds arrive and leave on their own terms. Let thoughts pass without following them. The world continues to turn, even as you slow down. You do not need to hold it together. Night has taken over that responsibility. This calm is not an ending. It is a beginning, not of effort, but of ease. As the night settles more fully, attention can begin to drift outward again, not quickly, not sharply, but gently, as if curiosity itself has slowed down. Within this darkness, there are lives that do not retreat, lives that awaken only when the light has gone. Among them, there is a creature often misunderstood, the bat. At first glance, it is easy to mistake a bat for a bird. Wings stretch wide, movement cuts through the air, the body lifts and glides in the night sky. But a bat is not a bird, not in its body, not in its biology, not in its story. A bat is a mammal. Like humans, like whales, like dogs and elephants, a bat belongs to the same ancient group of animals, defined not by where they live, but by how they live. Bats are warm-blooded. Their bodies generate heat from within. They have hair, not feathers, even if that hair is fine and often hidden beneath wings. And like all mammals, bats give birth to live young. They do not lay eggs. They carry their offspring inside their bodies, protecting them until they are ready to enter the world. When a young bat is born, it is small, fragile, completely dependent. The mother bat feeds her baby with milk, produced by her own body, rich with nutrients designed for growth. In this way, a bat's beginning in life is not so different from our own. This detail often surprises people. Because bats fly, they are easily placed in the same category as birds. But flight does not define what a bat is. Flight is something bats learn to do, not something that defines their family. In fact, bats are the only mammals on Earth capable of true, sustained flight. Not gliding, not falling with style, but actively flying. Their wings are not built from feathers. They are formed from skin, thin and flexible, stretched across elongated fingers. If you were to look closely, you would see something familiar. Hands. A bat's wing is essentially a hand that has learned how to hold the air. Bones lengthened, skin adapted, movement refined over millions of years. This makes bats unique, not just unusual, but singular. They occupy a space no other mammal does, between ground and sky, between climbing and flying, between worlds, and yet, despite their remarkable abilities, bats are quiet creatures. They do not dominate landscapes. They do not demand attention. They move mostly unseen, their lives unfolding, while others sleep. In the natural world, bats play roles that are easy to overlook and difficult to replace. Some bats feed on insects. In doing so, they help control populations that would otherwise grow unchecked. A single bat in one night can consume hundreds or even thousands of insects. This quiet work reduces the spread of disease, protects crops, and maintains balance. Other bats feed on fruit and nectar. As they move from plant to plant, they carry pollen. They disperse seeds. Forests expand. Plants regenerate. Ecosystems renew themselves. Many tropical plants depend on bats entirely. Without them, entire food webs would weaken. Bats do not work alone. They are part of a system that evolved together. Their presence shapes the environments they inhabit, often invisibly, often silently. This is why understanding bats matters. Not because they are mysterious, but because they are essential. They are not symbols of darkness. They are participants in balance. In many cultures, bats have been misunderstood, associated with fear, with superstition, with danger. But biology tells a different story, a calmer one, a more grounded one. Bats are cautious animals. They avoid conflict. They conserve energy. Their lives are structured around efficiency, not aggression. They rest together in colonies, sharing warmth. They communicate quietly, using sound beyond human hearing. Their world is shaped by darkness, but not defined by it. As mammals, bats experience stress, fatigue, and the need for rest. They seek shelter. They protect their young. They respond to changes in their environment with sensitivity. When night deepens and the air cools further, bats emerge. Not suddenly, not all at once. They test the air. They adjust to conditions. They move with precision and restraint. Understanding what bats are allows the mind to soften. They are no longer strange. They are familiar in a quiet way. They are mammals who learned how to fly. Mothers who nurse their young. Creatures whose lives are woven into the health of the night. And as this understanding settles, there is no need to hold it tightly. Let it rest. Let it blend with the calm already present. The night continues, and within it, life unfolds in forms both ordinary and extraordinary. As the night continues to hold everything gently, curiosity can drift a little deeper. Not toward urgency, not toward complexity, but toward understanding that unfolds slowly, the way nature itself unfolds. To understand bats, it helps to look far back in time, far beyond recorded history, far beyond memory, back to a world where bats did not yet exist. Their ancestors were not creatures of the sky. They lived on the ground. They walked. They climbed. They navigated trees and forest floors using 4 limbs built for contact, not for flight. These early mammals moved cautiously. They relied on touch, on smell, on hearing. They stayed close to surfaces, close to safety. Nothing about them suggested wings. Nothing suggested air. But evolution does not work through sudden transformation. It does not leap. It accumulates. Over countless generations, small changes appeared, not all at once, not with intention. Changes that offered slight advantages in very specific moments. Some individuals had 4 limbs that were just a little longer. Others had skin that stretched slightly farther between fingers and arms. At first, these differences meant very little. They did not create flight. They created reach. A longer arm made climbing easier. A wider stretch of skin helped slow a fall from branch to branch. These early ancestors likely moved among trees. They climbed upward, then descended carefully. Sometimes they slipped. Sometimes they jumped. In those moments, a fraction of extra surface could mean the difference between a hard fall and a softer landing. Evolution works quietly. Traits that help survival tend to remain. Traits that do not fade away. Generation after generation, the same patterns repeated. Longer forelimbs persisted. Skin membranes expanded. Bones adjusted subtly to new stresses and movements. What began as climbing slowly became gliding. Not flight, not yet, but controlled descent. These early mammals did not soar. They moved downward with more control, less risk. Over vast stretches of time, gliding became more refined. Muscles adapted, joints strengthened. The structure of the forelimb changed shape. Fingers elongated. Skin grew thinner, more elastic. The body learned how to interact with air. At no point did an animal suddenly wake up able to fly. Each generation was only slightly different from the one before. This is the quiet truth of evolution. It is slow, almost unimaginably slow. Millions of years passed. Forelimbs became wings, not feathers, but skin stretched across living bone. The hand remained a hand, but its function changed. It no longer only grasped branches, it began to hold air. With time, gliding gave way to active flight. Muscles coordinated, the chest strengthened, the skeleton lightened. True flight emerged, not as a single moment, but as a gradual ability refined again and again. This transformation required patience. Nature does not rush, it experiments. Some lineages failed, others survived, a few thrived. Those that could move efficiently through the air found new opportunities. They could travel farther with less energy. They could escape predators more effectively. They could explore the night. Flight opened a new world. But it came with costs. Wings required energy. Bones had to remain strong but lightweight. The body needed balance. Everything adjusted together. Nothing evolved alone. This is why bats are mammals that fly, not birds. Birds followed a different path, different ancestors, different structures. Bats carried their mammalian traits with them into the air. Warm blood, live birth, milk for their young. Evolution did not erase these features. It built upon them. Through all these changes, time remained the essential ingredient. Not decades, not centuries, but millions of years, so slow that no individual ever noticed the change. Each bat ancestor lived its life much like its parents. It climbed, it fed, it reproduced. The transformation happened between generations, not within them. This slowness is important. It reminds us that nature works through accumulation, not intention. Bats did not choose to fly. They inherited traits that gradually made flight possible. And even now, their wings still tell the story of where they came from. Inside every wing is the memory of a hand. Inside every movement is the echo of climbing ancestors. When a bat moves through the night air, it carries millions of years of quiet adaptation. Understanding this history changes how we see them. They are not strange. They are patient. They are the result of time working slowly, carefully, without urgency. And as this understanding settles, it blends naturally with the calm of the night. There is no need to hold the details tightly. Let the idea rest. Let it move at the same pace as evolution itself. Slow, steady, unhurried. The night continues, and within it, the long story of life continues as well. As the night grows deeper, patterns begin to reveal themselves. Not loudly, not all at once, but slowly, through repetition, through rhythm. One of the most noticeable patterns in the life of bats is timing. They do not move with the sun. They do not follow daylight. They wait. Bats are creatures of the night, not by coincidence, but by adaptation. In darkness, the world becomes safer for them. Fewer predators are active. Birds of prey retreat to rest. Large visual hunters rely on light. When night falls, many threats fade with it. For a small flying mammal, this matters a great deal. In darkness, movement is less visible. Silhouettes disappear, edges blur. Bats can travel without drawing attention. Night offers cover. Not absolute safety, but a quieter landscape with fewer eyes watching. Another change arrives with the night. Temperature. As the sun disappears, heat releases its grip. The air cools. The ground softens its warmth. For bats, this cooler environment is easier to navigate. Flying requires energy. Muscles work continuously. Heat builds quickly. In cooler air, that heat can dissipate. The body remains balanced. This allows bats to stay active longer without overheating. Night is not just darker, it is gentler on the body. Food availability also shifts when the sun goes down. Many insects emerge at night. Moths, beetles, mosquitoes. They rise into the air, drawn by darkness, by cooler temperatures, by instinct. For insect-eating bats, night is a banquet. And because many other animals are resting, competition is reduced. Birds that feed on flying insects are mostly inactive. Daytime hunters are absent. This creates an open window in the ecosystem, one that bats are perfectly suited to fill. By feeding at night, bats avoid competition and conserve energy. They hunt efficiently, without interference. This pattern repeats night after night, year after year. Over time, the bodies of bats adapted to this schedule. Their internal clocks aligned with darkness. Their senses sharpened for low light and for sound. The bat's biological rhythm is tuned to night. Hormones shift with sunset. Alertness rises as light fades. Rest arrives with dawn. This rhythm is not learned, it is inherited. From birth, bats are aligned with darkness. Their bodies expect it. Their minds move within it. In darkness, their senses work together. Hearing becomes primary. Touch guides movement. Vision plays a smaller role. The night becomes their natural environment, not a limitation, but a preference. This nocturnal rhythm also protects bats' energy reserves. By resting during the day, they conserve strength. By feeding at night, they use it efficiently. This balance is delicate. It depends on timing, on consistency. Disruptions to night, excessive light, noise, heat, can interfere with this rhythm, but in natural darkness, the system works. Night offers bats a quieter world, a cooler atmosphere, an abundance of food, and fewer threats. These factors did not act alone. They layered over time, reinforcing one another. Eventually, being active at night became the best option. Then, the only option. This is how behavior evolves, not through choice, but through survival. Bats did not decide to avoid daylight. Daylight gradually became less suitable. Darkness offered advantages. So darkness became home. As this understanding settles, it aligns easily with the calm already present. Night no longer feels empty, it feels purposeful, balanced. Bats move within this balance, quietly, precisely, without haste. They follow rhythms older than thought, rhythms shaped by temperature, by danger, by opportunity. And as the night continues, those rhythms continue too, steady, reliable, unrushed. There is no need to hold these details tightly. Let them drift, let them settle. The night remains, and within it, life continues exactly as it is learned to. As the night continues its quiet unfolding, attention can move closer, closer to form, closer to detail, not with urgency, but with gentle curiosity. When we think of wings, many images appear quickly. Feathers, rigid shapes, strong sweeping motions. But a bat's wing is something very different. At its core, a bat's wing is made of skin, thin, living, sensitive. This skin stretches between the body and the arm, and further between the fingers. It is not a separate structure added onto the body. It is the body itself, extended. If you could pause time and look closely, you would see something familiar. Bones that resemble a hand. The bat's arm follows the same basic pattern as a human arm. An upper arm bone, a forearm, a wrist, and then fingers. Not short fingers, built for grasping, but fingers that have grown long, very long. These elongated fingers form the framework of the wing. Skin stretches between them, creating a wide, flexible surface. This membrane of skin is called the patagium. It is thin, almost translucent, yet remarkably strong. Blood vessels run through it. Nerves reach into it. The wing can feel temperature, air movement, pressure. This sensitivity allows bats to respond instantly to changes in the air. Unlike rigid wings, bat wings are soft. They bend, they twist, they adjust shape from moment to moment. This flexibility is one of the bat's greatest strengths. A bat can change the angle of its wing mid-flight. It can slow down suddenly, turn sharply, hover briefly. Each movement is subtle. Each adjustment is precise. The wing responds not just to muscle, but to air itself. Feathers are not present here. No stiff veins, no fixed edges. Instead, there is skin that flows. This is what separates bat wings from bird wings. Bird wings rely on feathers to create lift. Their structure is firm, defined. Bat wings rely on flexibility. They shape the air rather than push against it. Because of this difference, bats fly differently. Their flight is more dynamic, more responsive, less linear. A bat's wing can fold tightly against the body when not in use, wrapped neatly like a cloak. When extended, it becomes expansive, wide, expressive. This dual nature, compact at rest, broad in motion, is essential for a nocturnal life. The softness of the wing also allows bats to move quietly. Feathers rustle, skin does not. In the stillness of night, this matters. The wing membrane also plays a role in regulating temperature. Blood flow through the wing can release excess heat or conserve warmth when the air cools. Once again, nothing is wasted. Everything serves multiple purposes. The structure of the bat wing is not accidental. It is the result of long refinement. Every curve, every joint, every stretch of skin has been shaped by time. This design allows bats to thrive in darkness, to navigate narrow spaces, to catch insects mid-air, to land gently on rough surfaces. The wing is not just a tool for flight. It is part of how a bat interacts with the world. When a bat flies, its wings do not simply move up and down. They flow. The air bends around them. The bat listens through its skin. This is flight not as force, but as conversation. Understanding the structure of bat wings reveals something deeper. Flight does not require rigidity. It can emerge from softness. It does not require hardness. It can arise from flexibility. As this understanding settles, there is no need to visualize every detail. Let the idea remain gentle. Skin stretched between fingers, bones lengthened with time, movement shaped by air. The night continues to hold these forms quietly, and the bat, when it moves as an extension of the darkness itself. As the night remains steady, movement within it becomes easier to notice. Not fast movement, not dramatic motion, but motion that is careful, measured, and precise. When bats fly, they do not rush. Their flight is not driven by speed, but by control. A bat moves through the air slowly enough to feel it, quick enough to remain suspended. This balance is what defines bat flight. Unlike animals that rely on straight lines and powerful thrust, bats fly with attention. They sense where they are. They sense where they are going. And they adjust continuously. A bat's flight is never fixed. It is always changing. Each wing beat is slightly different from the one before, not because of error, but because of response. Air moves, space shifts, obstacles appear, the wings answer. Bats are capable of flying in extremely narrow spaces, between branches, along cave walls, inside dense vegetation, places where speed would be dangerous, places where precision is essential. In these environments, bats slow down. They shorten their wing beats. They soften their movements. The wings fold slightly, then open again. They curve, then flatten. Every small change helps the bat stay oriented, helps it avoid contact, helps it remain stable. This constant adjustment is effortless. It does not look strained. It looks fluid. The wing membrane responds to even subtle changes in airflow. Pressure shifts are detected instantly. The bat reacts before thought is required. This is not conscious calculation. It is embodied knowledge. The wings act as both engines and sensors. Because bat wings are soft, they can absorb turbulence. Instead of resisting the air, they shape themselves to it. This makes bat flight exceptionally smooth. Even in cluttered environments, a bat does not push through space. It negotiates with it. Movement remains light, balanced, even. There are no sudden accelerations unless necessary. No wasted effort. Energy is conserved through efficiency, through rhythm. The wing beats are steady, not rapid, not forceful, consistent. This steadiness allows bats to fly for extended periods without exhaustion. Even when turning sharply, the motion remains controlled. The body follows the wings. The wings follow the air. There is no abruptness. Everything flows. In moments of hovering, the wings move more frequently. Small adjustments maintain position. The bat remains suspended without strain when, descending, the wings widen. Air resistance increases. The fall becomes gentle. When ascending, the wings narrow slightly. Lift is refined. The climb remains smooth. Every direction has its own rhythm. This is why bat flight appears almost quiet. Not only in sound, but in feeling. The movement does not disturb the night. It fits within it. The bat becomes part of the air itself. This style of flight is perfectly suited to darkness. Without reliance on sight, movement must be trustworthy, predictable. Slow flight allows more time for sensing, more time for adjustment, more time for safety. In narrow spaces, this difference is critical. A fraction of a second can mean contact or clearance. Bats choose control over speed, precision over power. And because of this, their flight rarely looks chaotic, even when it seems unpredictable to human eyes. The movement is guided by internal rhythms, by feedback from wings, from body, from air. This creates a pattern that repeats, night after night. As the night continues, bat flight continues with it. Consistent, reliable, no urgency, no haste, just motion that has learned how to exist within darkness. As this understanding settles, there is no need to visualize every turn. Just remember the feeling, slow movement, constant adjustment, gentle precision. The night remains calm, and within it, bats move as they always have, lightly, evenly, with quiet confidence. As the night holds steady, another sense begins to come forward. Not sight, not touch, but sound. In darkness, sound becomes a guide, a way of knowing what cannot be seen. Bats do not move through the night in silence, but the sounds they make are very small, so small that human ears rarely notice them. A bat releases brief pulses of sound, short, light, controlled. These sounds are not loud calls. They are gentle signals sent outward into the space ahead. Once released, the sound does not stop. It travels, Sound waves spread through the air, moving in all directions. Forward, sideways, upward, they pass through open space. They touch leaves, branches, walls, the surface of the ground. When sound meets an object, it does something natural. It reflects. The sound changes direction and returns. Not all at once, not all the same. Some echoes come back quickly, others take longer. Some are soft, some are slightly stronger. Each return carries information: the distance of an object, its size, its shape, even its movement. The bat does not see these details. It hears them. The returning sound enters the bat's ears as subtle variations, tiny differences in timing, in tone, in intensity. To a human ear, these differences would feel meaningless. To a bat, they form a picture, not a visual picture, but a spatial one, a sense of where things are. The bat listens carefully, not passively, actively. Its brain is tuned to these echoes, able to process them almost instantly. As the bat flies, it continues to release sound, again and again. Each pulse updates the map. Each echo refines it. The bat does not memorize the space. It continuously renews it. If something moves, the echoes change. The bat notices. If the bat turns, the timing shifts. The bat adjusts. This exchange between sound and space never stops. The sounds themselves are carefully shaped. They may rise in pitch or fall. They may shorten or lengthen. These changes depend on what the bat needs to know. When searching broadly, the sounds spread wider. When focusing closely, they become more precise. As the bat approaches an object, the pulses come faster. The information becomes denser. In the final moments before contact, the sound stream is rapid and fine. This allows extraordinary accuracy, even in complete darkness. It is important to understand something here. The bat is not shouting into the void. It is having a conversation with the space around it. The environment responds. The bat listens. This process is often called echolocation. But the word itself is less important than the experience. It is orientation through sound, a way of being present in darkness. This ability allows bats to fly through narrow spaces, to avoid obstacles, to locate food. Even small insects can be detected. Their wings create subtle echoes. Their movement disturbs the air. The bat hears these changes and responds. All of this happens without strain, without conscious effort. For the bat, listening like this is natural. It is as instinctive as breathing. The night does not feel empty to a bat. It feels detailed, full. Sound fills the space where light does not reach. As this understanding settles, there is no need to imagine the technical details. Just the rhythm, sound released, sound traveling, sound returning, and listening. The night remains calm. And within it, sound moves gently, guiding, reassuring, precise. As the night remains quiet and steady, attention can turn inward once more, not toward thought, not toward effort, but toward perception. For a bat, sound does not end when it is received. That is where it begins. The ears of a bat are not ordinary ears. They are finely tuned, sensitive, alert, always listening. A bat's ears are shaped to capture sound efficiently. They stand upright. They rotate slightly. They adjust their position as the bat moves. This allows sound to enter from many directions: front, side, above. Even the smallest echo can be detected. To human ears, these echoes might seem insignificant, too faint, too fast. But to a bat, they are clear, meaningful. The ear receives sound and immediately passes it on, not slowly, not in stages, but almost instantly. Inside the bat's brain, sound is treated with priority. It is processed first, before sight, before touch. The brain doesn't analyze sound as noise. It analyzes it as space. Each echo arrives with subtle differences, a tiny delay, a slight change in tone, a variation in intensity. The bat's brain does not pause to calculate. It recognizes patterns. These patterns tell the bat where something is, how far away, which direction. If an echo returns quickly, the object is near. If it takes longer, the object is farther away. If the sound arrives stronger in one ear than the other, direction becomes clear. Left, right, above, below. This process happens without effort, without conscious thought. The bat does not think about distance. It feels it. The brain combines what both ears hear. It compares. It integrates. From this, a sense of space emerges. Stable, reliable. This allows bats to fly confidently, even when nothing is visible. If the environment changes, the sound changes. The brain notices immediately. If an object moves, the echo shifts. The bat adjusts. There is no delay, no confusion. This speed is essential. At night, hesitation could mean collision. But the bat does not hesitate. Its brain is prepared. Over time, this ability became refined, not through learning alone, but through inheritance. Bats are born with brains designed to handle sound this way. As they grow, the system becomes smoother, more coordinated. But the foundation is already there. The ear gathers information. The brain organizes it. The body responds. This loop repeats many times each second. But it does not feel rushed. It feels natural. To a bat, darkness is not empty. It is structured, defined. Sound creates boundaries. Sound creates pathways. Sound creates awareness. This is why bats rarely collide, why they move with confidence, why their flight feels controlled. They are not guessing. They are listening. And their brains are ready to listen deeply. As this understanding settles, there is no need to hold on to complexity, just the simplicity of it. Sensitive ears, a responsive brain, a clear sense of space. The night remains calm, and within it, the bat navigates with quiet precision. As the night continues to unfold, life within it begins to move with purpose. Not hurried, not aggressive, but steady, quiet, and necessary. Among the many roles bats play in the natural world, one of the most widespread is feeding on insects. Many bat species rely almost entirely on insects for food. Moths, beetles, flies, mosquitoes. These small creatures fill the night air. They rise after sunset, following their own rhythms, drawn by cooler temperatures and darkness. For bats, this moment is ideal. They begin their hunt as the light fades. Not all at once, not suddenly. They emerge gradually, testing the air, listening. A bat does not chase blindly, it searches with care. Sound moves outward, echoes return. The bat listens and adjusts its path. Insects are small, often fragile, but their movement disturbs the air. Wings flutter, bodies shift. These tiny changes are enough. The bat detects them, not by sight, but by sound. As it approaches prey, its flight becomes more precise, slower, more focused. The final moments are controlled. A slight turn, a gentle adjustment, then contact. The capture is quick, quiet, often unnoticed by anything else nearby. This kind of hunting happens repeatedly throughout the night. Not frantically, but consistently. A single bat can consume a large number of insects in one night. Not out of excess, but out of balance. Insects reproduce quickly. Left unchecked, their numbers can grow rapidly. This can affect plants, animals, and entire ecosystems. By feeding on insects, bats help keep populations within natural limits. They do not eliminate, they regulate. This role is subtle, often invisible, but its impact is profound. Fewer insects means less stress on crops and forests, less spread of insect-borne disease, more stability. Bats perform this work without drawing attention. They do not alter landscapes visibly, they simply remove excess. This balance has existed for a very long time. Long before agriculture, long before cities. Bats and insects evolved together, each adapted to the other. As insects developed ways to avoid predators, bats refined their sensing. As bats refined their hunting, insects adjusted their behavior. This quiet interaction shaped both groups. From an ecological perspective, bats act as natural regulators. They support systems by preventing extremes. Without insect-eating bats, nighttime insect populations would increase dramatically. The consequences would ripple outward. Plants would suffer. Other animals would feel the change. Human environments would be affected as well. This makes insect-eating bats essential, not optional, not replaceable. Yet their work is done almost entirely in the dark, unseen, uncelebrated. Bats do not hunt for dominance. They hunt to survive. And in doing so, they support life around them. Their presence allows nights to remain balanced, not overwhelmed, not chaotic. As the night deepens, bats continue their steady movement, flying, listening, feeding. There is no urgency in it, only rhythm. This rhythm repeats night after night, season after season, quietly maintaining order. Understanding this role helps reshape perception. Bats are not pests, they are partners. They do not threaten balance, they create it. As this understanding settles, there is no need to remember numbers or details. Just the relationship. Small insects rising into the night, bats moving among them. A balance maintained without force. The night remains calm, and within it, bats continue their work. Quiet, precise, essential. As the night continues to breathe steadily, another rhythm becomes visible. Not the rhythm of hunting, not the rhythm of pursuit, but the rhythm of nourishment and renewal. Not all bats chase insects through open air. Some follow a different path. They are drawn not to movement, but to abundance. Fruit-bearing trees, flowering plants, quiet sources of energy that awaken after sunset. Some bat species feed on fruit. They do not tear or destroy. They select. A ripe fig, a soft mango, a fragrant guava. These fruits ripen slowly under the sun, but are harvested in the calm of night. Fruit-eating bats approach gently. They land carefully. They grip with ease. They bite, chew, and extract the nutrients they need. Often, they do not consume the entire fruit. They take what is useful and move on. Seeds remain. Some fall beneath the tree. Others are carried away. As bats travel from place to place, seeds travel with them, sometimes in the mouth, sometimes attached to fur, sometimes dropped mid-flight. Each seed lands far from its parent tree. This distance matters. Seeds that fall too close compete for the same light, the same water, the same soil. Seeds carried away find new spaces, new opportunities. In this way, fruit-eating bats become gardeners of the night. They do not plant intentionally, but their movement plants forests. In tropical regions, many trees rely on bats for this service. Without them, forests would grow smaller, less diverse, more fragile. Other bats follow flowers. These bats do not chew, they sip. They are drawn to blossoms that open at night, large, pale, rich with scent. These flowers offer nectar, a concentrated source of energy. Nectar-feeding bats hover or perch briefly. They extend long tongues designed for this purpose. They drink, quietly, efficiently. As they feed, their faces brush against pollen, fine grains, cling to fur and skin. When the bat moves on to the next flower, the pollen moves with it. This transfer is pollination. It allows plants to reproduce, to set fruit, to continue their lineage. Some plants depend almost entirely on bats for this process. Without bats, their flowers would remain unvisited, unfertilized. The night would become less fertile. This relationship did not happen by accident. Over time, plants adapted to bats. Flowers became nocturnal. Colors shifted to pale hues visible in low light. Scents grew stronger. Nectar became more abundant. In return, bats refined their feeding. Tongues lengthened, senses sharpened. This partnership benefits both sides. Bats receive nourishment, plants receive continuity. Neither dominates, neither exploits. They coexist. This work happens quietly. No one watches, no one applauds. But the impact is vast. Seeds scattered across landscapes, trees growing in new places, flowers continuing their cycle, forests expand, ecosystems stabilize. Fruit-eating and nectar-feeding bats support life in ways that are difficult to replace. They connect distant places. They move genetic material. They keep systems resilient. Without them, regeneration would slow. Diversity would shrink. The night would lose some of its creative force. As bats feed, they do not linger. They move steadily, from tree to tree, from flower to flower. Each visit brief, each interaction light. Nothing is taken in excess. Nothing is wasted. This balance has developed over countless generations. It is not forced. It is natural. Understanding this role softens perception. Bats are not consumers only. They are carriers. They are connectors. They do not simply survive in ecosystems. They help them thrive. As this understanding settles, there is no need to remember specific plants or places, just the flow. Fruit ripening, bats feeding, seeds traveling, flowers opening, pollen moving. The night remains alive, not empty, not still. It is quietly productive, and within it, bats continue their work, feeding, spreading, sustaining, without urgency, without recognition, simply as part of the living system they belong to. As the night continues to stretch quietly across the land, another layer of understanding opens. Not complexity, not detail for its own sake, but variety. When people think of bats, they often imagine a single kind of animal, one shape, one size, one way of living. But the world of bats is far more diverse than it first appears. There are many kinds of bats, more than most people realize. They do not all look alike. They do not all live alike. Some bats are very small, so small they can rest comfortably in the palm of a human hand. Their bodies are light. Their wings are delicate. They move with quick precision through dense air. Other bats are much larger. Their wings stretch wide. Their presence feels substantial. When they pass overhead, the air itself seems to notice. Between these extremes, there is every size imaginable. Each size fits a different life. Diversity is not random. It is shaped by environment, by food, by movement. Bats live in many kinds of places. In forests dense with leaves, in open grasslands, in deserts where water is scarce, in tropical jungles heavy with moisture. Some bats live in caves, deep, cool spaces that remain stable through changing seasons. Others roost in trees. They hide among leaves, inside hollow trunks, or beneath bark. Some bats live close to water, near rivers, near lakes, near coastlines. Others adapt to life near humans. They shelter in buildings, under bridges, in quiet corners of shared spaces. Each environment asks something different, and bats respond by adapting. In dry regions, some bats conserve water carefully. Their bodies retain moisture. Their activity is timed to cooler hours. In humid forests, bats adapt to constant growth. They navigate thick vegetation. They locate food hidden among abundance. In cold regions, some bats enter deep rest when food becomes scarce. They slow their bodies. They wait. In warm regions, others remain active throughout the year. Food sources also vary. Some bats eat insects. Some eat fruit. Some drink nectar. Each diet requires a different body. Insect-eating bats tend to be agile. Their wings allow sharp turns. Their senses focus on precision. Fruit-eating bats are often stronger. Their jaws are built for chewing. Their wings support heavier bodies. Nectar-feeding bats develop long tongues. Their faces adapt to reach deep into flowers. These differences are not cosmetic. They are functional. Even the shape of the ears varies. Large ears, small ears, rounded, pointed. Each shape supports a different way of sensing the world. Wing shapes differ as well. Some are long and narrow, suited for open spaces. Others are short and broad, perfect for maneuvering through tight environments. These variations allow bats to share the night. Instead of competing, they separate. By height, by location, by timing. One bat hunts near the ground. Another flies higher. One feeds early in the night, another later. This separation reduces conflict. It increases balance. Diversity strengthens ecosystems. When many kinds of bats exist, they cover many roles. If one role weakens, another supports the system. This is resilience. Diversity also reflects history. Over long periods of time, bats spread across the world. They encountered new conditions. They adapted. Some adaptations were small. Others reshaped entire bodies. Through this slow process, new species emerged, each one carrying a unique solution to the challenge of living at night. Yet beneath this diversity, there is continuity. All bats share common traits. They are mammals. They give birth to live young. They nurse their offspring. They fly. Diversity does not erase unity. It builds upon it. This is one of nature's quiet lessons. Difference does not mean separation, it means adaptation. As this understanding settles, there is no need to catalog names or numbers. Just the image of variety, small bats and large ones, forest bats and desert bats, cave dwellers and tree roosters, all moving within the same night. The darkness is wide enough to hold them all, and within that shared space, each bat lives in the way that suits it best. The night remains calm, and within it, diversity moves softly, balanced, adaptive, enduring. As the night gradually completes its arc, another rhythm comes into view. Not movement, not flight, but rest. For bats, sleep is not an interruption. It is an essential state, a return. When activity slows and the night begins to soften, bats seek places of stillness, places that feel protected, sheltered, quiet. One of the most recognizable images of a sleeping bat is its posture. Bats sleep upside down, hanging with their heads pointing toward the ground. At first, this seems unusual, even uncomfortable to imagine. But for a bat, this position is natural, efficient. A bat's feet are designed to hold without effort. The tendons in their legs lock automatically when they grasp a surface. This means that once a bat hangs, it does not need to keep using muscle strength. No tension, no strain. Energy is conserved. If a bat were to sleep upright or lying flat, its muscles would need to stay engaged. Hanging upside down allows complete relaxation. The body releases. The weight is supported by structure, not effort. This position also prepares the bat for movement. If danger appears, there is no need to push off. The bat simply releases, and gravity does the rest. Flight begins without delay. Sleep and readiness exist together. Most bats do not sleep alone. They rest together, in groups, sometimes very large ones. Caves are a common choice. Deep inside caves, conditions remain stable. Temperature changes slowly. Light rarely reaches. Sound is softened. These spaces offer protection from weather and predators. Inside, the air feels still, cool, consistent. This stability is ideal for rest. Bats gather on cave ceilings and walls, hundreds, thousands, sometimes more. Their bodies form clusters, close but not chaotic. Sleeping together helps conserve heat. Warmth is shared. Energy is saved. In colder conditions, this becomes especially important. The group breathes slowly. Movement is minimal. There is no competition here, no urgency. Each bat settles into stillness. The sounds inside a roost are very soft. Occasional shifts, gentle wing adjustments, quiet breathing. The space feels calm, protected. This quiet is not emptiness, it is safety. In this environment, sleep can deepen. The bat's body slows, heart rate decreases, breathing becomes shallow, energy use drops. This rest allows bats to recover fully. Night after night, this cycle repeats. Activity, return, rest. Sleep is not wasted time, it is preparation. Without proper rest, flight would weaken, senses would dull. Sleep keeps the system balanced. Even within a group, each bat remains aware. Small disturbances are noticed. If one bat stirs, others respond slightly. But panic does not spread. The group remains composed. This shared calm supports deeper rest. Some bats choose different roosts: tree hollows, rock crevices, quiet spaces beneath leaves. But the principle remains the same: shelter, stillness, darkness. The sleeping place matters greatly. Too much noise disrupts rest. Too much light causes stress. Bats seek silence. Not complete silence, but predictable quiet. A space where nothing sudden happens. In such places, sleep becomes restorative. The upside-down posture, the closeness of others, the sheltered environment, all work together. Nothing is accidental. This way of sleeping has been refined over a long time. It matches the bat's body, its needs, its life rhythm. As the night holds this stillness, there is a sense of completion. Movement has paused. Energy is being gathered. The bat rests. And in this rest, the night itself seems to rest as well. As the night moves through colder seasons, its rhythm changes once again. Not abruptly, not dramatically, but quietly, almost without notice. When temperatures drop, the world becomes less generous. Insects disappear, flowers close, fruit becomes scarce. For bats, this change matters deeply. Food grows harder to find. Energy becomes precious. Movement must be reconsidered. Instead of pushing forward, bats respond by slowing down, not as a failure, but as a strategy. This response is known as hibernation. Hibernation is not ordinary sleep. It is deeper, more deliberate. When conditions become harsh, bats reduce their activity. They fly less. They feed less. Eventually, they stop feeding altogether. The body begins to change its pace. The heart slows, not dangerously, intentionally. Beats become fewer, gentler. Breathing also changes. Each breath comes farther apart, shallow, efficient. The body temperature drops slightly, not to harm, but to conserve. Every system adjusts towards saving energy. This state allows bats to survive when food is unavailable. Instead of searching endlessly and wasting energy, they wait. Waiting, in this case, is an active choice made by the body. During hibernation, bats remain very still. They hang quietly, often in caves, deep places where temperature remains stable. The surrounding silence supports this state. In these spaces, there is little disturbance, no sudden noise, no bright light. The bat's body can remain calm. Time passes differently here. Days blend into weeks, weeks into months. The bat does not experience boredom. It does not feel urgency. Its awareness is turned inward. Energy use drops to a minimum. Stored fat is released slowly, carefully. Each reserve is measured. This slow consumption allows survival through long cold periods. Occasionally, a bat may stir, a slight adjustment, a brief awakening. But it soon returns to stillness. This balance is delicate. Too much disturbance can be harmful. Waking too often uses precious energy. This is why quiet hibernation spaces are essential. Without them, survival becomes uncertain. Hibernation is not weakness. It is adaptation. It reflects patience, restraint, trust in timing. When warmth returns, so does activity. The heart gradually speeds up, breathing deepens, body temperature rises, the bat awakens, flight resumes, feeding begins again, the cycle continues. This rhythm has allowed bats to live in places with strong seasonal change. Cold winters do not end their story, they simply pause it. As this understanding settles, there is no need to imagine the cold in detail. Just the stillness, the quiet waiting, the slow heartbeat. The night remains calm, even in winter, and within it, bats endure. By slowing, by conserving, by trusting the return of warmth. As the night continues to rest in its own stillness, attention can widen once more, not outward in urgency, not inward in concern, but toward relationship. For as long as humans have existed, bats have shared the same world, often nearby, often unnoticed. Their paths cross quietly, in the dark, at the edges of awareness. In many ways, bats have been helping humans long before humans realized it. By eating insects, bats reduce pests that damage crops. They limit insects that spread disease. By dispersing seeds, they support forests that provide food, clean air, and stable soil. By pollinating plants, they help produce fruits that humans rely on. All of this happens without instruction, without reward. Bats do not work for humans, but humans benefit from their presence. Despite this, bats are often misunderstood. Fear has shaped many stories passed down without question. Bats are sometimes seen as dangerous, as aggressive, as creatures to avoid. But these ideas do not reflect reality. Bats are not hostile animals. They do not seek contact with humans. When disturbed, they retreat. When threatened, they avoid. Most bats want only one thing: to be left alone to live their quiet lives. Another common misunderstanding is that bats intentionally harm people. In truth, bats play no role in daily human conflict. They are not interested in human food. They are not attracted to human activity. Encounters happen only when spaces overlap, often unintentionally. Fear grows in the absence of understanding. When something is unseen, it becomes easy to imagine danger. But knowledge changes this. Understanding reveals that bats are cautious, sensitive, vulnerable. They rely on stable environments, quiet roosts, predictable nights. When these are disrupted, bats suffer. Habitat loss forces bats into unfamiliar spaces. Artificial light confuses their rhythms. Noise disturbs their rest. These pressures have caused bat populations to decline in many places. This loss matters, not just for bats, but for ecosystems and for humans. When bats disappear, insect populations rise. Forests regenerate more slowly. Plant diversity declines. The balance weakens. Protecting bats is not an abstract idea. It is practical. It means protecting the systems that quietly support human life. Conservation does not require constant interaction. Often, it simply means allowing space, protecting caves, preserving trees, reducing unnecessary disturbance. Small actions create safe margins. Living alongside bats does not require fear. It requires respect. Bats do not invade human life. They adapt around it. When humans provide tolerance, bats respond by staying hidden. Coexistence is already happening, often unnoticed. In many places, bats live near homes without conflict. They emerge at night. They return before dawn. Their presence is felt only through its benefits. Peaceful coexistence is not new. It is natural. It begins with understanding. When fear is replaced with knowledge, behavior softens. When myths dissolve, care becomes possible. Bats do not need admiration. They need space. They do not ask for protection through control, only through allowance. The night is wide enough for both bats and humans. Each has its place. Each has its rhythm. Humans shape the world with intention. Bats move within it with instinct. When these ways align, harmony emerges. As this understanding settles, there is no call to action, no urgency, just awareness. Bats are not strangers. They are neighbors, quiet ones, working in the dark. And as the night continues, both bats and humans rest beneath the same sky. The night does not end suddenly. It does not stop. It does not break. It simply begins to loosen. Time continues to move, but more softly now, as if it, too, has learned to slow down. The darkness remains, but it is no longer deep. It becomes thin, transparent. Far away, the first suggestion of morning exists without sound. Not as light, not yet, only as does change. The night exhales. For the creatures that belong to it, this moment is familiar. It comes every day, always gently. The bats feel it first, not through sight, not through sound, but through rhythm. Their bodies recognize the subtle shift. The air changes slightly. The temperature begins to lift. The long work of the night has reached its natural pause. One by one, the bats turn back. Not quickly, not urgently. Their flight remains calm, measured, complete. They move toward shelter, toward stone, toward darkness, toward the places that have held them safely throughout the night. Caves receive them quietly. tree hollows open. Hidden spaces accept their return. There is no announcement, no gathering call, just return. Inside the roosts, movement slows. Wings fold, bodies settle. Each bat finds its place. Familiar, undisturbed. Breathing deepens, muscles release. The night's energy is set down. Outside, the world continues its quiet transition. The sky lightens almost imperceptibly. Shadows soften, edges blur. Birdsong has not yet begun. The day has not claimed the space. This moment belongs to neither night nor morning. It is a pause. Sound fades further. Even the smallest movements seem to dissolve. The air becomes still, as if holding its breath. Silence spreads. Not empty silence, but full silence. A silence that contains rest. Nothing asks for attention. Nothing requires response. The night has completed its work, and now it rests. There is no ending here, no final note, only continuation. The cycle will begin again, but not now. For now, everything is allowed to remain exactly as it is. Still, quiet, held. And in this holding, there is nothing more to do. The darkness does not need to be watched. The silence does not need to be filled. You are free to remain here, breathing, resting. Let the night finish fading on its own. Let sleep continue its gentle work. There is no signal to follow, no moment to mark. Only the soft understanding that everything is exactly where it needs to be.